the morning.
Yeah.
Early in the morning, very, very early.
Early. Yeah, it is around 10.
We have 6:40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir is here.
Yeah.
Good morning, Yana.
Hello.
Hello.
Come closer.
How are you?
We are fine, thank you.
Okay. So, what is the condition in Bratislava and Trnava?
It looks that it will be a hot day today.
Hello.
Okay. Yes.
It looks like a hot day, but it starts a little bit raining, so we hope for a bit fresh air.
Gemma. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Gaba, how are you?
Fine, thank you. And what about you?
Hello.
Hello.
He is not getting the voice, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you. You can't hear us. Is it a problem with the audio?
Yeah. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Gabby, how are you?
I'm fine.
Okay. So, what's the condition there?
It started with a little bit rain in the morning, so we hope it won't be that very, very warm day.
Okay. I will try just to do something. Just a second.
Hello.
Hello.
And Yana, how in Trnava?
It's fine. It's fine. Thank you. Can you hear? Is it better with the voice or not?
Yeah, actually, in India, a little bit, it's still now just is increasing. But I heard that in Slovakia, now it is under control.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Fortunately. Sorry, just a second. Just a second. Just a second.
No, dobra, ja wiem, potom. Dobra. Że pamiętasz, że nie słychać, dochodzą że muszę spokojnie, że też nie ma. Ja mam wtedy minut syfry, że na ten czas.
Raz, dwa, trzy. To nie ma więcej. Okej. No to jeszcze tylko mamy.
Yes, so I think Paulina also entering.
Yeah, yes.
Paulina also just staying in Trnava?
Yes, she's in Trnava and we are in Bratislava.
Okay. So it is almost 40 kilometers away.
Yes.
Yeva, how is your family? Your husband and your daughters, how are they?
She's fine. Paulina is fine.
You can see her.
Hi, Paulina, how are you?
And thank you. I'm not in Trnava. I would like to correct. I stayed in Bratislava
Oh,
because
you're in
it's
Bratislava.
6:45 in the morning, and I wasn't able to get myself.
So now there it's a hot summer or not so hot?
Well, compared to India, probably not so hot in here.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
otherwise,
yeah, yeah.
otherwise it's pretty intense already.
Yes, yes. Really, here it is very hot, and you know the place where I'm staying now. This is the eastern part of India. There nowadays the temperature is very high. Yesterday it was almost 39 degrees Celsius.
Not jealous of that.
Although now this rainy season here, but rainy is not sufficient to cool down. So temperature is 39 like. And what about in Bratislava? Temperature there?
I think yesterday was 33 in the hottest. I don't know, ma'am.
Probably.
Probably.
In town, 35, 36. In the center,
Yeah, yeah.
among the buildings.
But sometime I think this time sometime a little bit get hot there also. Uh, but this time I think it is not so hot.
You mean in India?
No, in Bratislava also.
I think this is like a standard summer, I would say.
Okay.
Right now. No?
Yeah. So
I think so.
yeah. So the Gabri and Yana, sir, he is Dr. Navkumar Mahato, head of the
Hello.
Department of Mathematics
Oh,
in our university.
Hi. Yeah.
And Dr. Navkumar Mahato, also you also understand.
Yes, yes.
Left side, she is Professor Gabriela Peblandova, and
Yeah,
right, Professor Yana is here also,
Close.
and
Okay.
and now just we are talking with Dr. Paulina. So
Okay. Hello, ma'am.
each of them is very very nice. I met them also, and uh,
Okay. So
we are happy to be here, and I think you are starting.
yeah,
No?
yeah, yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
I'm the one who is the first.
Okay.
I'm the oldest.
Ask?
Now people are joining.
Yes, can we start?
Ma'am, wait for some minute. Actually, at 10:30 we'll start. That time has been given to them.
Okay.
Okay. So wait for another 10 minutes, please.
Yeah, sure.
We can talk. We can interact with each other. No issue.
Good.
Okay.
I'll use the resting time for some finishing touches.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
সুবিধা এখনো ঢোকেনি তো। হ্যাঁ, হ্যালো, আচ্ছা আমি দেখছি। হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা, করে দিয়েছি। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ওটা করছি, কিন্তু না আমি ওর নামটা পাচ্ছি না। সুদীপ জানা করে দিয়েছি। পরে গিয়ে আমি মেক কো হোস্ট করে দিলাম। বাস বাস করে দিয়েছি, পোস্ট করে দিয়েছে ওকে। ও তো সব
Sorry, we are back. We had some technical things to correct.
No problem. So we'll start within 4 to 5 minutes.
Yes.
10:30.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can share the screen. Okay.
yes, yeah.
No more. Okay.
Can we start now?
Yes, of course.
Yes, we are prepared.
Look, talk it until what?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? This is Dr. Sudip Jana from Mathematics. How are you all?
We are fine, thank you.
Fine, thanks.
So people are still joining. So let us wait for a few minutes and then we'll start. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
okay.
it's okay, of course.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Shall I start now?
Yeah, we are prepared.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Should we start now?
yeah, we can start now. People
Yeah,
who
we are
coming,
prepared.
they can join, I think.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so let us start the webinar now. So, good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Sudip Jana, an assistant professor in the Department of Mathematics at Amos University. So today, the Department of Mathematics is privileged to organize another webinar in our webinar series. On behalf of the department, I welcome you all to today's webinar. At the same time, I thank you all for finding time to join us. Due to the limitation of maximum number of attendees in Zoom, we could not accommodate all the participants in this Zoom session. I apologize for that. As a substitute, we are broadcasting this webinar on a parallel YouTube live streaming session. Today, we have two eminent speakers, Professor Gabriela Pebrendova and Professor Jana Sujanova from Slovak Institute of Technology with us. Professor Sujanova will be accompanied with Paulina Sujanova. I'm not sure whether I have pronounced the names correctly. Please pardon me for that.
Yeah,
Well done.
well done.
Thank you. Okay, so basically we have two talks in this webinar. Professor Pavlendova will talk on practices in using electroosmotic drying, and Professor Sujanova will talk on research and study opportunities in Europe. Okay, so for smooth running of this webinar, I will request all the participants to follow certain rules, such as please mute your microphone while the speaker delivers her speech. There will be a question answer session after the presentation. So you may directly ask your questions after the speech. Or you may use raise hand option in Zoom. Okay, for YouTube participant, they can write comments, they can write their question in the comment box, and then we will present all the questions in front of the speaker. Okay, now I request Professor Bimal Kumar Sarkar, Dean, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, to say a few words about our school and to introduce the first speaker, Professor Kaplan Doba. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudeep. And it's really a very great moment for us that today we have Professor Peblindova and Professor Yanova with us, and also architect engineer Paulina with us. So this is the webinar, just one webinar of the total series of the webinar, which is being conducted from the School of Basic and Applied Sciences, Adamas University. And this webinar today is conducted by the Department of Mathematics, Adamas University. Basically, the School of Basic and Applied Sciences, comprising 5 departments: Department of Physics, Department of Chemistry, Department of Mathematics, Department of Psychology, Department of Geography, and new departments coming, that is Department of Forensic Science and Environmental Science. So this is the structure of the School of Basic and Applied Sciences. We are running different UG, PG, and PhD programs under this school, the School of Science. And the School of Science is basically trying to enter just for excellence in the science education, keeping in mind to be established globally in the field of science and application science. Today we are conducting this webinar, and with us today, already just described by Dr. Sudip Jana, that Professor Gabriela Pevlandova, Professor Yana Sujanova, and engineer Paulina with us today. And it is a very good time that the audience can share their views, their thinking, and many queries will come to the speakers today. And now just I'm going to give some talk about Professor Gabriela Pavlandova. uh, Actually, she is really very just close to me also. Just I'm in touch with her also from 2011, and I have seen in many activities, scholarly activities, she is really one prominent scientist in thermophysical properties, and she is doing work mainly in the exploration of thermal properties studies, mostly involved in some just different kind of materials, which is mainly, as far as I know, the building materials. And she is expertising her knowledge and different innovative ideas how to improve different kind of thermal properties to be enhanced in the different materials, which includes, say, some porosity, like some kind of modeling also she is doing. And really she is very one of the prominent scientists in also Slovakia, I believe that, because many times just I met her also. Even last year, just we are in a discussion with her regarding some kind of work, and very big scope of also for some collaborative work also with her and her team, her group. And she is not only very big scientist, also personally I know she is so nice lady, and very nice person, very kind-hearted, and also she is contributing a lot to the knowledge of this field. And I believe that today the webinar which is being conducted will be a very great moment, and she will deliver it, her ideas, her innovation, her thinking to us, and I'm quite sure it will help us a lot to be assembled in this common platform to share some thinking and some ideas. And it will be a good moment also for our some uh, futuristic some work also with them also. And later on our talk will be about also Professor Suyanova, just um, the Yana Subanova, and she is also very known to me. And but in short, now I'm telling about her because her introduction will be given by other person also later on. But you know, Yana Sujanova is so helpful, and she is also very established just scientist and also worker in mainly in informatics science, and also most probably what I know, and in kind of optimization and everything. And she will also just share her knowledge, her idea, everything to the audience. And then very newly coming up, Paulina, engineer Paulina, also she'll be able to talk a lot. So today I'm quite sure the webinar which is being conducted will be very great one. And I just wish all the success of this webinar today. And now uh, I wish all the best today, and thankful to the audience, everybody. And now I just transfer to Dr. Sudip Jana next just to talk.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now it's time for the talk. Now I would request Professor Pavlenova to take over.
Okay.
Please, you can start.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so, well, so many nice words. I'm afraid to start my speech. Thank you for nice words in the beginning from Professor Sarkar. Well, I'm from the Faculty of Civil Engineering. You can see the premises here. And my speech practices in using electroosmotic drying of masonry in Slovakia is aimed at my experiences and experiences of our department. We were asked to study this topic because Bratislava was built on the banks of the river Danube. So the historical part of Bratislava has really big problems with moisture, excessive moisture in the masonries, and so the task was here, and we started to work on it. So this is the historical part, and I put the picture with the snow in there. So the usage of electroosmosis in civil engineering is important because it is considered the least destructive method for removing noxious moisture from masonries. And the problems with moisture have a very long data. The control was started in 1907, where Royce made an easy experiment. He used S-shaped capillary tubes, put porous materials at the bottom, filled in the water, and applied an electrical field. And what he observed was the level difference between these two tubes. And so, till now, it looks the same, only here we have some walls, some material, and the question is how to put the anodes and cathodes in, what kind of materials, what field should we apply to use it for the removing of the excessive moisture. Electrolysis belongs to electrokinetic phenomenon. Porous materials used in construction have surfaces mostly negatively charged. So when there is solution connected to the surface, it attracts charges with an opposite sign, and the electric double layer is formed. And in the presence of electric field, water molecules move to the cathode. The speed depends on the properties of this electric double layer, which was studied by Helmholtz, Guy, Chapman, Stern. I will very briefly describe the Stern model. Here we have the negative surface. Sorry. Here we have the negative surface of the wall, negatively charged. The solution is here. So the opposite charge is attracted to the wall, and the width of this Stern layer is up to 0.1 nanometer. And the electric charge, electric field is created, and the charges move in this shear plane. The surface potential is up to 200 millivolt, but as you can see, there is an exponential decay of potential regarding to the distance from the surface. Some basic characteristics that we use for our practice: coefficient of electroosmotic permeability. We can see that this coefficient is determined by the characteristics of the environment. There is the porosity, viscosity, Faraday's constant, radius of the capillary, and here we have the ion concentration given by Poisson-Boltzmann equation. Hydraulic flow density depends on the coefficient of hydraulic conductivity and the gradient of pressure. And when we use conservation laws, we get transport equation. Here it is for one dimension. So electroosmotic methods used for dewatering are in principle divided into two big groups: non-wireless electroosmosis and wireless electroosmosis. Non-wireless electroosmotic method is where you have some material and shape of electrodes. Usually the electrodes are metallic or semiconductor ones. I have no experience with semiconductor ones, and they are very rarely used. Metallic are rod and gridded ones. We used only rod ones in Slovakia. I have never seen any spot with gridded ones. I know they use them in Great Britain and Germany. And then materials of connecting wire. And of course, you should make contact between the masonry and electrodes. And so they differ in various types of conducting mortar. And now, very important part is the power unit. Electroosmotic method started only with a direct current source, but later on, pulse direct current source is used, and very soon it will dominate. So I will describe my personal experience or experience of our department. we used electrodes with conductive plastics. And what is the most important thing here is, of course, each electrode is made of some special alloy that should be resistant to salts. And so they differ slightly, but the patent is about using two layers of plastics. First is non-polar, which means that material doesn't change its dense structure and it protects the wire. We need it because it is in contact with the mortar and salt and so on. Another the layer is electrically conductive and it's polar. So the surface loses its core structure. It extends it to a slightly larger volume. So the effective surface area of the electrode increases, and so it is much more effective. So anode is circular. I already described it. Cathode and connecting wires are silver plated copper wire, and connecting wires are also double coated. Another problems with the masonries is that there are very often salts that prevent masonry from drying out. So the invention was to use special desalination anode. This is the place where salt is kept for the time when the desalination takes place, and then it is changed for another one. And as I have mentioned that electroosmotic pulse systems, the power unit will very soon dominate. These are the area of another company which cooperates with Technical University of Denmark, who are the leaders in the field. Electroosmotic pulse system alone is not the invention of Denmark. First time it was used in the military premises in United States. Why is it so? When you apply direct current, you are drying the area between the cathode and anode. And as the place around the anode is dried, the resistance increases and it stops electroosmosis from working, or it works, but very slowly. So the idea was to change the polarity, which means that the remaining water is evenly distributed and you can just continue on. When the task was given, first we visited places where there were some electroosmotic installations already done. Everything is in the center of the town because there are buildings built close to the River Danube where the groundwater is very high. So this Chapel Corpus Christi is from the 14th century. And you can see what reconstruction was done inside. And this is also explanation why there are that many discussions about whether electroosmotic drying really works or not, because you can never use only some kind of drying like electroosmotic ones, because you have to look at the whole place and take many things into account. If you want the wall to be dry, you cannot leave the path or the concrete attached to the wall. It can't breathe. So you have to work also on the construction side as well. Now you see how it looked in the cellar. There was the electroosmotic installation, that the current value was around 327 milliamperes, and the voltage is around 10 volts, 10, 12 volts. So also ventilation hole in the floor was made, and the plaster was removed so that the wall can breathe, and the electroosmotic installation can really work. So some more pictures. Now, this is explanation of how we know what is the reason for the excessive moisture. If you measure the partial pressure of water vapor outside the building, this is the blue one, and then the partial pressure of water vapor inside, if they correlate, it means the reason for the excessive moisture is capillary intake. And here you can see the changes of the current when the partial pressure changed in outside and inside. Another experiences that we have where so more of the management problem inside, because the honorary consulate, which is also in the middle of the town, they have moisture problems. The problems were caused by capillary intake, and there were 2 electroosmotic circuits installed. But they called because they recognized some damp places in the masonry and also salt efflorescence. So we started with some control places for moisture control measurements. And I also tell them that we should really change the polarity of the electrodes for a while to get even distribution of the moisture in the wall. So the changing of the electrode increased the osmotic current, and it looked well until we returned again, and nothing happened so far. So the reason was somewhere else, and we found that conductive mortar was replaced. The wires were damaged. Even conductive material was found in the field of electroosmosis. So as there were more companies working on site, it caused this damage. But again, if we measured current before we did our changes, we see that the current was quite low. We replaced the wires and replaced the mortar for conductive, and the electroosmosis started to work again, and so far so good. Interesting example was private house in the center. They bought it from previous owner, and after some time they have problems with moisture. Electroosmotic installation was offered, but then we had to remove the plaster, and we recognized what was the problem. There was it was undercut very high. There were problems with horizontal and vertical insulation. You can see the water can move through this place. So we did what we can, replaced electroosmotic installation. And after 3 months, the owners sent us this picture that there is mold in the vicinity of the inserted anode. In reality, these were salts, because the undercutting reduced the cross section, so there was greater salts concentration, and thus precipitation occurred, which somehow helped them to desalinate the wall, and efflorescence disappeared quite soon. So in that time, we think we are prepared to do our own installation, and we did in the headquarters of a private company in Old Town. And I will show you some pictures from 60s where you still can see that the moisture was problem in the center of the city as long as it was built. So in the cellar, it was a great work. 10 tons of waste were removed. Finally, it was finished, but the rising damp appeared. And electroosmotic circuit was installed. So you have to prepare the cathodes, connect them, put the isolation. What is important is that the cathode opening should be at the angle of 45 degrees and the length around 40 centimeters. So the openings were drilled. And also the slot for inserting the anode was made and the circuit was completed. So the distance, 165 centimeters, depends on the thickness of the wall. The voltage was 11 volts and the current measured in the beginning was 142 milliamperes. But the problem was that again, the construction works were still underway, and you can see it here. Hygrometer data showed that it was just jumping up and down at the chosen places at anodes. After the reconstruction work finished, the hygrometer data go slowly down. The same happened when we measured the data at the cathode. So still the construction works took place, and you see that only when it really started working, also the current decreased. Well, nothing went so smooth as we supposed. Salts precipitation occurred, wetting of the mortar occurred in the vicinity of the anode, and we have to find out the reason. So first we started with thermogravimetric analysis to find out whether really we deal with some kind of historic bricks. And as you can see, this is gravimetry was done by heating rate 10 degrees Celsius per minute, and we started from room temperature to 1000 degrees. So this differential scanning calorimetry and thermogravimetric analysis, I will come back to the picture. So remember 340, 800, and 800. So until 300, it was physically bounded water. Then we have chemical bounded water, and there was the calcination. As the curves are quite similar, we found out that probably some part of the brick was put into the plaster, and also as the removing of chemically bounded water finished at 800 degrees, it meant that fired brick and plaster were certainly historical ones, because in that time it wasn't possible to achieve higher temperature than 700 degrees. So the first question was answered, and by pore distribution, measured by porosimeter, we also proved that really some part of the brick was used in the plaster. What kind of salts were there? It would be very nice if we could come to some final answer. So we used scanning electron microscope. The salts was taken from the vicinity of the electrodes. We have scanning electron microscope Vega from Oxford Instruments, and the samples were prepared by fixing the powder particles to microscope holder, and conducting carbon strip was used. So from the morphology, it's quite clear, all were polyhedral grains in all cases, and the structure of salts close to the anode showed that there was also calcium phosphate, probably some gypsum crystals. But quantitative analysis again didn't give the final answer. And then the reason was also that there is different amount of salts during the years as the temperature of the groundwater increased in recent 20 years, and also there is much more salt coming from the rain. So what we decided to do is that we accepted the fact that the conductivity of materials decreased in the vicinity of the anode, and we changed the power unit for advanced osmotic pulse power unit, which works with changing the polarity of the electrodes. This is low voltage pulsating changes, and it reverses the flow of water seepage, and so the moisture is evenly distributed, and electroosmosis can really work better. After that, the precipitation was only in the vicinity of the cathodes, which you can never exclude because the water is coming. What electroosmosis did that it can't prevent capillary intake, but we can maintain the capillary intake in such a level that it is no more harmful to the building, and as well the environment inside the building is healthy and really nice. Another big group are wireless electroosmotic methods. This is a whole mixture of methods where they claim using the influence of magnetic, electromagnetic fields, even some physically undefined fields, and what are they often criticized is lack of scientific explaining for the physical principles. So why is it so? The reason simply is that we still do not know all properties of water. We know that the molecule, the water is formed. We know about the polar covalent bond. We know that dipoles can be attracted, and there are hydrogen bonds formed. And this is what really makes water moving towards the cathode when electric field is applied. This is what happens when you use electroosmosis. But what we don't know are some mysteries. For example, Japanese scientists measured a slightly altered value of the melting point of ice in strong magnetic field or change in the magnetic susceptibility. Unfortunately, there was no possibility to redo the experiment and to find out how it really works and to understand it better. And there are another articles, mainly by Chaplin and Dumais, about the influence of magnetic field, mainly on the cluster formation, and the role of bubble water interference in electromagnetic field. So these methods were used before electroosmosis was come in usage, and these were this compensation galvanosmosis and passive electroosmosis. And later on, there were some new ones where they apply electromagnetic field of various frequencies with or without electrodes. So the compensation method was based on the idea that when you have the separation of the electric charge in the evaporation zone in the masonry, negative pole is here, positive, this is Earth, the positive pole is somewhere in the masonry, and they inserted metal dipole, and they claimed that this internal potential difference was destroyed. But the question is how compensation of electric field, which was created by the rise of the moisture, can affect the rise itself. Galvanic osmosis was based on the idea that we have base metals and precious metals left and right side from hydrogen, and they used different different materials. You see, cuprum is here, and iron on the other side, and the moisture should be the electrolyte, but again, it doesn't work very well. And another idea was that they use the same materials. For example, I will have iron here, and short circuit, and it should work due to the different pH value in the wall, and the formation of an electric voltage opposite direction should be formed, but the voltage is very low and unstable, so it again doesn't work. And now come the very curious ones, which we were asked to try to test and find out what is the truth behind it. Aquapol, which is very often sold in Slovakia and Czech Republic, they already banned them. The invention was by Wilhelm Mohonon, and you can see scientists' mutual interference between proton energy, electricity, gravitation, electromagnetism, magnetism, electrogravitation, and gravomagnetism. So terms we even do not know. And inside it looks like some kind of pyramid. So they were used also in Slovakia. We tested it in some private company. The only thing we could do was really to measure magnetic field, because this is something we know, we understand, we can measure. So we measure magnetic field in the vicinity. You see, nothing happens, no magnetic field. So we also can be very suspicious to the other fields. Another one that wasn't that was used in another company. They claim that it works the same way as it works in as transport processes in tree work out, and again that there is some kind of earth energy. Nobody knows what is it. But actually, the transport processes of substances and water in trees goes in two ways. In short distances, it is diffusion, and in medium and long distances, it is transport by volume flow, and the pressure that causes this volume flow was already measured many times, also in Slovak Academy of Science. So these systems were placed in various places, and people who bought it are cheated, because they started also with reconstruction works, which improve the condition, at least for the period they claim they will take care of the site. Another place where it was used for the room with fall costumes, very precious one. Till now, the room is heated and ventilated all year round, even with varsity systems. The most curious one I have ever seen was Balex. It looks like this. It is like kind of chair. We couldn't measure anything. Then I decided to use airport scanner. So this is what was inside. And some metal detector. And this is another curious one. Then there are methods that use external power sources. And they claim they have nothing to do with the previous mentioned, and also technology patented, different power units. They have their own earthing rods, special voltage with special voltage, exposing the masonry to flow. It is modulated, clocked, and mixed frequency through a special antenna. So there is a power unit, but again, when you ask how it works, there is a science. This is a long wave transmitter from ferrite rod antenna, and it has 141 kilohertz. The truth is that long waves have low attenuation and long distances. They can travel long distances, but the device where the reference given for the usage of the device was again in Slovak Academy of Science, Institute of Virology. Visit at place discovered that the reconstruction that was done wasn't because of the problem with moisture. There were never moisture problems in this building. So whatever you will use, claiming that it removes moisture, will work. Another company, Hydropole, they use again electromagnetic pulses, and they claim that this is the frequency close to the natural oscillations of molecular clusters. And due to that, molecular clusters disintegrate and subsequently move downwards by action of gravity. So this was something, first, clusters, their existence is short-lived in order of picoseconds. So to talk about the properties of the clusters of water, well, nobody can talk about it really seriously. And as for absorption spectrum, we know that water molecule can vibrate in many directions. There is very small moment of inertia, and if we have water vapor, the number of absorption lines is many times greater, and the maximum observed absorption by water molecules is at the region of microwave and infrared radiation. But as they were well established, we did our own device based on the device of Hydropole company, and we were testing this drying device in Notre Dame Monastery and in the laboratory of our department. So the drying device itself was inductive coil emitter. We use an annual copper wire, and the frequency pulses were set about 100 hertz, and the output was about 2.5 watts. So this is the cellar. You can see moist places, they're really damaged. We measured the humidity inside and outside. We recorded the data from the temperature, and the moisture content was measured by, first we used the capacitive humidity sensor, which penetration was only to 50 millimeters. Later on, Tropec, which can measure up to the depth of 300 millimeters. So everything was installed, and in the range of 2 years, we measured the moisture at chosen heights, 36, 80, 113, and 150 centimeters above the floor level. The reason, again, we measured water vapor partial pressure in air inside and outside. So the reason for the moisture in the wall was capillary intake. And as you can see, no results. If there was no actual change, this change, as it looked like, is caused by the fact that it was measured only up to 50 centimeters, 50 millimeters, sorry, and we also increased the ventilation. So these results are according to ventilation, but measuring the humidity didn't show any changes. We did a laboratory test and measured the changes in capillary water absorption on 3 samples: historic bricks, sand-based aerated concrete, and ash-based aerated concrete. One sample was in the sphere of influence, and the second one was control. These are the parameters, and this is how it was set up. And as you can see, no results in capillary water absorption, whether it was in field or without the field for historic brick, rated concrete, and fly ash based. So to sum up, as for wireless electroosmotic methods, this is more cheap and selling the idea or whatever. But non-wireless electroosmotic methods with full systems proved to be very efficient in dehumidification of moisture in masonries, and our experiences are with historical buildings. Thank you for your attention.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your nice talk. So now this is the question answer session. So I will ask the participants to ask if you have any questions. You can ask directly to our speaker.
You can think about it during also the other and send it also later to me. You will have the address, and if you have some ideas, comments, or experience, please share them with me. I will be very, very thankful.
I have one query, Professor Pavlundova. Have you taken which type of simulation to just feed your data there?
No, well, I didn't work with simulations. There are ruling equations. I didn't put them into the presentation, but there are that many factors coming into account when you deal with moisture in historical masonries that I think it would be very, very complicated. There are articles where they reduce it then to very small number of factors, and then the results do not cope with the practical results. And in this area, it is more the good practices, completing and talking, and there are people who work with it for years, and there are experts in this area. So they really, these were the ones I have learned from. They came inside, and they can see really what's going on, and it's amazing. But yes, the simulation would be interesting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So do we have, is anyone having any other question?
I see the message that they will send it to me, so then I will answer by email.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So, okay, so I think nobody has any question right now. So I request the participant, if you have any question later, if you find any question later, you feel free to communicate us or to the speaker directly. And if you send us the question, then we will send that to the speaker. Okay. So having said that, so we'll move for the next lecture. And
Just to say, I will ask those are not the lectures, maybe to give some information about the possibilities to cooperate with European countries and specifically with Slovakia in the research and through the different European projects. And this will be better when my daughter, Inženýrka Pavlína Šujanova, will take part, and I will finish with the opportunities to come and make the research in Slovakia. Is it okay for you?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so can everybody hear me, please?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'll try to share the screen. This is my first time on Zoom, so bear with me for a little second. Screen, this one, share, and I should go on this mode. Okay, can everyone see the presentation,
Yes,
please?
yes.
Okay, so thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. I hope that based on this presentation, we will start a successful collaboration for the future. My name is Paulina Šujanova, and I work as a project manager at the project center at the University of San Cyril and Methodius in Trnava. So I am solely responsible only for international project proposals. So if you in the future would like to cooperate or would be interested in creating a project proposal together, please don't hesitate to contact me. And I'm sure we will be able to find you a partner at my university. Shortly, what I'll be talking about in this presentation is the opportunities that are for Indian researchers under the Horizon 2020 and the Erasmus+, because these are the biggest funding or framework programs available and the most interesting ones. For those of you, and I hope I didn't know to which level you are familiar, but so I'll give a short description about both of the programs. So Horizon 2020 is the biggest EU research and innovation program. It is ending right now, and it will be the subsequent framework program will be Horizon Europe. It's the biggest and most ambitious framework program for the support of research and innovation. Erasmus Plus aims to contribute to the growth of jobs, social equity, and inclusion. It's a framework program for education and training. So basically the only difference is the first one is more focused on the research, the second one more on the training. In general, the Horizon 2020 is fully open to participation of entities from across the world. This has to be understood in such a way that as a partner organization, you are always free to participate. The other problem is the funding. For India, funding is not always, or India is not always automatically eligible. However, there are already flagship proposals, project calls, which were drafted between India and the European Union. And there are also calls which your ministry has agreed to co-fund. The exceptions are then the pre-identified joint calls, then also the European Research Council grants, which are open to any researcher, all the researchers around the world, and the Marie Curie Skłodowska actions, in particular the individual fellowship. Talk more in details. So the first joint flagship call between India and the EU is the flagship call on integrated local energy systems. It's an innovation action call, means that the technology readiness level has to be between 5 and 8. So it's not anymore research, it's more push towards already launching full products or full solutions. This call, jointly the EU and India is promising to provide per project maximum 6 million funding of euros. And the consortia has to be composed from at least 3 EU countries and 3 Indian partners. And the duration of the project is maximum for 4 years. The call is there the proposal should develop and demonstrate solutions which analyze and combine in a well-delimited system all the energy vectors that are presented and interconnected them, where appropriate, to optimize their joint operation that is demonstrated by an increased share of renewables in and higher energy efficiency of the local energy systems. So it's a call focused on energy and the launch of energy or efficient or renewable solutions. Then on July 2019, the European Anna, yes, the European Commission launched the work program for Horizon 2020 for the period of 2019 and 2020, in which the Department of Biotechnology, your department, in India, has agreed to participate in 30 call topics in the areas of its mandate. There were 30 calls to which they promised to provide the funding for. However, there are only right now 2 still open. The deadline is for both in September 1st. And one is the international cooperation with Japan for research and innovation on advanced biofuels and alternative renewable fuels, and the international cooperation with Canada on advanced biofuels and bioenergy. Both our research and innovation action, means the technology readiness level has to be between 3 and 5. So that's, I think, majority of the researchers do this type of a research. So it's more, not anymore the basic research, but more of an applied research. And the consortia has to be always composed out of 3 entities from the EU plus the international participants. And the duration of the project is up to maximum of 4 years. The most interesting or the most prominent call and project or funding that you can gain from the European Union as a researcher is the European Research Council grant. The European Research Council supports frontier research, cross-disciplinary proposals, and pioneering ideas in new and emerging fields, which introduce unconventional and innovative approaches. The mission of the ERC is to support the highest quality research in Europe through competitive funding and to support investigator-driven frontier research across all fields of research. In here, the key things that I would like to mention is this grant is open for applicants from all over the world. The only condition is that the host institution will be in Europe. Means that if you as a researcher would be interested to gain this grant, you would have to find yourself a host institution in Europe or an associate country, and which is, for example, Switzerland. And then you can submit your proposal and try to apply for this funding. The specific how these grants are different from the standard Horizon 2020 calls is that in here these are highly proposals which are highly driven by hypothesis and are for frontier and excellent research. Means it's not applied research in and of itself, it's more of a basic research. There is always one researcher, one host institution. The one researcher is responsible for the whole project. He is responsible to apply it and to perform the whole research. However, he can create his own team, so he can hire for himself through the budget team members. There are different types of these grants, basically based on the age or the maturity of the researcher. The starting grant is for early career top researchers between 2 and 7 years after PhD. It might sound somehow discouraging because of the connection top researchers. What you need to take into account what is expected of a researcher who is applying for this type of a grant is that he has between 2, 3, or 4, 5 outputs which are published in current content journals. Then there is another grant. It's the consolidator grant, which is for older researchers, which are 7 or up until 12 years after their PhD. In here, again, the level or there is a little bit more expected from these researchers. They should have around 10 current content journal papers published. Then the most experienced researchers, the senior researchers, can apply for the advanced grant. Then there is another grant, which is a proof of concept, which is for already for grant holders of the European Research Council grant, means someone who already has a starting grant or a consolidated grant or an advanced grant or a synergy grant. And the last one is the synergy grant, is the youngest one. It's for teams of 2 to 4 principal investigators. The budget is the highest, is up to 10 millions. And the duration of the project can be up to 6 years. However, in here, I have to mention the synergy grants are for teams where the interdisciplinarity is one of the major issues which needs to be sorted to be able to tackle this type of a research. Means that for example, the team needs to be composed out of physicists, chemists, and engineers together. So in here, the interdisciplinarity is one of the main issues. For this program period, the one call which is still open is the ERC Advanced Grant. The deadline is the 22nd of August. The principal investigator can ask for up to 2.5 million euros for the project, which are there to cover the direct costs and indirect costs of the project. This includes salaries, operational costs, traveling, publication costs, IP protection, and similar. And there is 1 million available if you need to update the infrastructure at the host institution. Again, this is for excellent and breakthrough research. The duration of the project can be up to 5 years. I would in here like to mention the fact that for each and every year you can ask for 500,000. So means that if you would like to have a project which would be planned for 4 years to take place during 4 years, you can only ask for 2 million and similar. In here, for the advanced grant, the principal investigators are expected to be active researchers who have a track record of significant research achievements in the last 10 years. In more detail, in the proposal, you will be asked about your publication records, whereas you are expected to have around 10 current content papers published in the last 10 years, where you are the main author. Then another thing that you are asked about is whether you have published 3 monographies, whereas there can be an exception. You do not need to have those. There can be those can be substituted by patents or similar. Oh, I have a Marie Skłodowska-Curie action, sorry. Somehow I clicked further. So back to the advanced grant. The applications can be made in any field of research. These are bottom-up proposals, means there is no exact topic or direction given. If you have an excellent idea whereas you fulfill the criteria of hypothesis, of strong hypothesis, high risk and high gain, then you can apply for this grant. Okay, let's go to the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. These actions provide grants for all stages of researchers, for all researchers at different stages of careers. They can be, for example, doctoral candidates or highly experienced researchers. In here, the thing that's encouraged the most is the transnationality of these proposals, means that the researchers have to move around the area of the European Union and the associated countries. Okay, there are different types of these actions. Then there is the individual fellowship, the innovative training networks, the research and innovation staff exchange, and the co-funding of regional and national and international programs. In here, you as a researcher from India, you can apply for the individual fellowship. However, you can, your institution as a partner organization can participate in the innovative training networks, the research and innovation and staff exchange, and the co-fund. However, you are not eligible for funding, but you can receive researchers, as your organization can receive researchers for secondments, and you can participate in the research, but you need to provide your own funding. However, the innovating training networks and the co-fund, they are there to provide opportunities for PhD students and postdoctoral students. They are open for any applicants from around the world, and the
calls or the positions which were created through these projects are available at the EURACCESS webpage. Okay. Regarding the individual fellowship, the deadline is on the 9th of September. In this project, you cannot ask for money for infrastructure, but you are asking as one researcher at the host institution for basically your salary. The salary you can be asking for is 4,880 euros per month. However, there is a country coefficient, correction coefficient, which can be, for example, for Slovakia, I think it's around 80%. But you have to take into account the economic scale, means that you need less money when you live in Slovakia and more when you need in Belgium, for example. There is also an allowance of 500 euros if you have a family which is coming with you, and plus 600 euros if you're moving from country to country. So then it adds up together. These projects are up to 3 years. What the Commission is seeking for is for creative and innovative ideas from prospective researchers, which already have their PhD, but there is no upper limit. There are different types of schemes under which work under this action. So there is a career restart, there is worldwide fellowship, and the European one. However, for example, if you would apply to a country, to a widening country of the European Union, which are countries like Slovakia, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, and Romania, your proposal will go through two budgets, which is the which is this one for the Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions and the widening participation budget. So if you won't be successful in this call, your proposal is automatically pushed towards the widening participation budget, and you are basically as if submitting your proposal to two calls. So I would like to again mention the EURACCESS webpage. In here, you can find opportunities which are in the European Union and connected to the research. So you can also find all of the jobs which were made available, for example, through the Maria Curie Sklodowska Action, the innovative training networks. Now I would, as the Horizon 2020 ends, the subsequent framework program right now will be the Horizon Europe. It's even more ambitious than the Horizon 2020. It right now promises to open more the calls to more countries, to third countries. So for now, I have no information about how, in what relationship India will be involved in Horizon Europe, but there is a promise that there will be more opportunities for researchers coming from India. In regards to the calls that I've mentioned that are more interesting the most for you is the European Research Council and the Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions. The budget is way higher than the planned budget is higher than the one which was in Horizon 2020. So this framework program hopes to be able to fund more researchers. Now to the Erasmus Plus. So the Erasmus Plus is training and education support program. The specific issues tackled by this program include reducing unemployment, especially among young people, promoting adult learning, especially for new skills and skills required by the labor market, encouraging young people to take part in European democracy, supporting innovation, cooperation, and reform, reducing early school leaving, and promoting cooperation and mobility with the EU's partner countries. It also is ending in 2020. However, it will be renowned for yet another 7 years. So, even though the work program is not yet published, we expect basically that the calls will repeat more or less in the same or a little bit innovated manner. So for now, the calls are basically closed, more or less, for any type of project proposals which would be interesting for a general researcher. However, one that I would like to mention, in which participants and organizations from India can take part in, is the Transnational Strategic Partnership. It's a proposal where you can ask for a grant to develop innovative educational tools, such as online learning, certain study materials, or summer schools or similar. In here, you can ask for a grant for the direct and indirect costs, whereas there are only certain activities allowed, and the direct costs are covered per unit costs, which are available in the work program of the Erasmus Plus, and but the financing is up to 100%. It's a more or less a simple project proposal compared to, for example, Horizon 2020, and it's a start if you are not yet so strong in your research, but you have a strong education or like a study program which you would like to develop more in alliance with international partners. This is the call for you. This is mostly closes in March, whereas we don't know yet what will be happening. So now I would like to mention my university. We would really like, and we are right now researching for researchers which would be interested in submitting project proposals under the Marie Curie Skłodowska Action for the individual fellowship. So if you would be interested to be a researcher who comes to Slovakia, to my university, please do not hesitate to contact me. So about the university is a small public university which was established in 1997. It has approximately 5,000 students, so it's very small, and 500 academic employees. We are a young, dynamic university that is continuously expanding international contacts with major world and European institutions. We have more than 50 cooperation agreements with foreign institutions, and we have researchers which produce high quality research. We have more than 1,500 publications in Web of Science between 2000 and 2020. Whereas together we have an H index of 36, Just in the last 5 years, the UCM was a partner in more than 50 international projects, among others, the Horizon 2020 projects, Erasmus Plus projects, and Creative Europe. We have more than 200 national projects which are focused on research, mobility, infrastructure, and capacity building. At the present, the University of San Cyril and Methodius in Trnava consists of 4 faculties, which is the Faculty of Arts, Faculty of Mass Media Communication, Natural Sciences, and Social Sciences. And we have 2 institutes, the Institute of Physiotherapy, Balneology, and Medical Rehabilitation, and the Institute of Management. Together, the university provides 169 accredited bachelor, master, and PhD student programs. We are, for now, the strongest field we are right now excelling is the natural sciences. We have a really strong laboratory of chemistry where there are researchers which have an H index around 40. But we have a very quickly developing Institute of Management and capable Faculty of Social Sciences. So if you would be interested, please do not hesitate to contact me, and thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Paulina, for the very nice and informative talk. Now the session is open for discussion. So I would request all the participants or the attendees to ask question.
So just I have one query, Paulina. Just you mentioned in some slide that whenever some research collaboration is asked, and there you mentioned the host institution, and also there you mentioned that associated institutions. What do you mean by associated institutions?
Okay, there are different types. So in a Horizon 2020, if you create a project proposals, there are beneficiaries and partner organizations. Beneficiaries are those who received funding. And those have to be eligible. Partner organizations can be from around the world. They do not receive funding, but they can participate on the research with their own funding. Means that the whole consortia can work together on the project. However, the partner organizations do not sign the grant agreement, and they do not receive funding.
Okay.
And in regard to the host institution, that's a little bit different. A host institution is the institution which you are searching for when you are going, when you want to prepare Marie Curie Skłodowska action, for example, the individual fellowship, and an ERC grant. For example, in the ERC grant, the host institution employs the principal investigator. That's the person who submits the project proposal. However, the host institution signs the grant agreement, but there is a condition that the host institution cannot limit the principal investigator in performing all of the planned work based on the project proposal. And for the ERC grants, if a principal investigator decides to change the host institution. For example, I have decided at the beginning to go to Austria, but the conditions are not perfect, and I have better conditions somewhere else. For example, in Czech Republic, you as a principal investigator can do that with the agreement of the European Commission, you can transfer the grant, which is usually not that simple which doesn't work in such a way for example, the Horizon 20. It works a little bit different. But the ERC grants are therefore also so interesting because the grant is transferable. So it goes with the principal investigator. If you as a researcher receive the grant, it stays with you. So then you are really interesting also for other institutions. They might contact you, okay, I know that you are right now here, but I would like you to come here and I will give you better conditions.
Okay, so another my query that in your universities, for example, Cyril, University of SS Cyril University,
Yes.
What is the scope for the master student to go for PhD program?
One more time. So for the Master 2 students, for
PhD program. So,
okay. So PhD programs, if you would like to apply for a PhD, in general, all of the faculties have developed a PhD study program. As I am not informed about all of them, I can give you just a brief overview. So at the natural sciences, you can do chemistry, I think. Then you can do informatics. At the Faculty of Social Sciences, it's mostly, but they won't be happy right now because I don't remember exactly. It's mostly the management of government institutions, I think, if I am not wrong. Then there is the Faculty of Arts, and in here I honestly do not know exactly, but if you would be interested, I can draft a little short paragraph where I can write them down so that I do not jeopardize anyone's research ambitions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
Paulina, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, is there any opportunity for any mathematics background students, PG students?
Yes, I think at the Faculty of Natural Sciences, there are opportunities where they could be involved. For example, if you have already a PhD student who is right now ending his PhD studies, for example, he will have his defense on before the 9th of September. He can still apply for the Marie Curie Skłodowska Individual Fellowship. And in there is also the connection and how's it called, that you have intersectoral and like the fields that you go a little bit to a different field is really supported, so that you do not have like just one field oriented proposals, but that you explore also and broaden also your perspectives.
Okay.
So, Pavlina, another question. Just
yes.
What will be your motivating message to the master student? What to do next to just move to Europe for research?
In general, I have my personal experience with basically all of these support schemes. I used Erasmus Plus. I used Cost Action, which I didn't mention. I used the EEA grants, and I also was able to be one of the staff members which was circulating through the Marie Curie Skłodowska Action, the RISE. I can only encourage any researcher at any stage to go and at least a certain period of time spent in a different country. Because you gain a lot of experience, a lot of international contacts, you expand your research field, and also you expand your opportunities for the future. So even, for example, if your goal is not to stay in Europe, but you still gain a lot of experience, you bring the experience back and you can support the network, your home network, and bring the whole, to add to the interconnection and strong relationships between researchers worldwide, because research cannot be done isolated. You have to cooperate, and the best cooperation level is the world level.
Okay. So my last one just query. How far you think the scope of Indian student to
Yes.
find some research position there?
One more time, I didn't understand the question.
I'm just asking that how you think that the scope of Indian students to pursue their research work and PhD program in Slovakia.
In Slovakia,
Yeah.
so for example, I have to admit, right now, all of the international students which are coming to Slovakia are more or less the pioneers. So in Slovakia, there is not many foreign students yet, but I think we are ready and would be happy to expand also our opportunities and to welcome international students. In Slovakia, what you can expect at the first thing is, compared to other countries, the housing is cheap, and all your daily expenses will be low compared to other countries, and you will be basically treated as one of the first who is coming. So you won't be a part of the crowd. You will be an individual treated at the university. And maybe my mom can answer this better, because she is basically one of the committee members who decides whether or not foreign students are coming into Slovakia.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have one question from the audience on civil engineering student Saurabh. He asked, what is the scope for civil engineering student to study further in Slovakia?
So, for example, at the civil engineering, we have a very a strong department of mathematical modeling. So you can even find them, and they are working, cooperating with NASA. So that's a really strong department. There is also a department of building structures, and also the department of physics, where Velká Gavika is. They are also an expanding department which is trying and striving to be excellent in the field that they are working at. So there are multiple opportunities.
I think you have master's program in your university.
Okay, so that's a different at the different university, like the civil engineering. Yes, they have different types of master studies, but that you can better ask Professor Pavlendova, but because that's a different university.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have one more question from our department student Pranab. He asked, if I want to do master's or PhD program from any foreign university, do I have to appear for GRE exam?
What is that? The
GRE exam. That is GRE, TOEFL, that type of exam.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this exam. I have to admit.
Actually, Paulina, this is
graduate that you have. Of course, you need to, like, if you have finished your masters and you apply for your PhDs, you have to have all of your records together. And of course, each and every university, if you will be applying, they will, if those transcripts are not in English, they will ask at least for English transcripts. But there are certain universities, they will ask you for their local language transcripts, for example, for German ones. but depends. Like there are different universities; they have different requirements. But for sure, you need them. It's you cannot go without them.
Okay, okay, good. Thank you.
Paulina, my next question is how they will apply for in your university for a PhD program? Any master's
Well,
program?
yeah. Okay, so for my university for the PhD program, I think my mom will be better to answer this again because I do the international projects, not the PhD programs. I can only, I really can support you if you are already a postdoc or an established researcher, which would like to cooperate with my university. But in general, if you are a student which finished his master studies, there are options which my mom will present, and also options which you can find at the Euraccess webpage, because there are all of the PhD scholarships which were created based on the Marie Curie Skłodowska actions. They are available there. So, and they are really interesting in regard to also the allowance that you will be receiving. And always those are from strongly built, based on strongly built consortia with a really strong research. So there you really can be sure about the fact that, yes, I'm going for a PhD, which where the infrastructure, the people, the research, and everything is right. And I will get the right type of a push at the beginning of my career.
Okay.
Okay, I have one question.
Yes.
What is the scope of doing research on climate science in Slovakia?
Primary science?
Climate science.
Climate.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So again, this is again out of my scope.
Okay.
But, then if you are looking for that, I would suggest that you go to the web pages of the Slovak Academy of Sciences. And then I think, because that's the biggest research institution in Slovakia, and they are participating on the highest level in the research, then I would suggest you go there. So the Slovak Academy of Sciences, and there you will find what the topics are they are working on, and they have also bigger opportunities than a general university.
Thank you. Okay, there is another question from audience. So to ask another question, is there any scholarship for international student?
Yes, of course. That's what I mentioned. First of, my mom will mention some of the scholarships. Second of all, there is, if you already have your PhD student right now, what you can apply for is the Marie Curie Skłodowska individual fellowship, and then also again, for example, if you are searching for a whole study support, then the Euraccess web page is the way to go.
Okay, thank you. So I don't think we have any more questions. Okay, we have another question.
Okay.
From the audience. Is there any individual entrance exam for admission to PhD program in foreign universities? Now I am doing MSc in Applied Mathematics in final semester.
Okay, this would be again a little bit for a different person, but in general, if you apply for a PhD under the Marie Curie Skłodowska ITN, which was published based on that, then they are, most of the times you will be asked to provide your project proposal for the topic that is published, or for the PhD. You will be asked to provide all of the documents of in regard to your title and everything. But in general, if you are students from international universities, if they have a finished master's study and the university is acknowledged at their local level, then there shouldn't be any kind of a problem. Of course, if you are a bad student and you are not able to, how's it called, to present yourself and you do not provide a group project proposal, then you will be excluded. But it only depends basically on your excellence. If you have your transcripts ready, then it should be okay.
Paulina, just one thing
Yes.
again. This entrance examination is generic in nature in Slovakia, or it depends on the different university to university? I mean, say for one university, this is the examination. For another university, another examination. Like
Okay. So I cannot answer for each and every university in Europe, but in general, if you want to apply for a PhD program, there are no entrance exams. There is basically as what's it called, normal interview as an employee, because basically you will be an employee for the university. So what you have to expect is you will have to provide your CV, your documents and everything. You will be called for an interview based on the evaluation of the commission, whether or not you are a prospective candidate. So in general, but don't quote me on this, there is no entrance exam if you want to go for a PhD program. There is an interview.
I will explain it to you closer because this is not 100% true. I will tell you what are the differences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't have any more question. So then I'll request Professor Sanjeev Ghosh, our emeritus professor of our school, to say a few words.
So he is not present now.
Okay, then I request our Dean, Professor Sarkar, to make the concluding remark. Please, sir.
Yes, actually, I believe that today webinar is so effective, and thing is that today's webinar a little bit bears some kind of little bit diversity and also in broad range. In that sense, you can see the first part is devoted for very technical just presentation, that one specific research aspect is described there, and second part it's very motivating. That second part, what is the scope and which field can be explored to do some research work there in Europe. It is so nicely presented, and I believe that today the audience will be much benefited to attend this webinar today. And it's a pleasure that Professor Peplendova and then Professor Sujanova and all just help us to know about the research what is going on in Europe, and then also very specific in also Slovakia like this. So it's a very nice presentation, very nice discussion also in fact, and very effective discussion in rather. So I believe that it is very helpful for beneficial for the even students and faculty members obviously. And one request, if possible, I request just Dr. Sujanova, if possible, if you can share your this information with us in future also. Then
yes.
we can maintain some kind of information and can place in from the students. They can get very motivated, and
of course.
they will find some scope also. So
yes.
So finally, just it's our pleasure and also our very good opportunity on behalf of School of Basic and Applied Sciences at Adamas University that interacting with you. So nice, informative. Thank you very much. And I'm quite sure that in future also we can proceed in some collaborative work and also some kind of agreement and some kind of just cooperation also.
Yes.
And obviously it will help, because I believe that here the students are also which much quality, and there also you see that there is a good share will be there, and ultimately today is the era of interdisciplinary work and it will help
Yes.
also. So with this just aspect and expectation, here I come to the conclusion. Today's webinar is very effective, is very informative, and very also productive, and very nice to just attend this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank
Over
you.
to Sudhir.
Thank you, Professor Sarkar. Now I would request Dr. Navkumar Mahato, head of the Department of Mathematics, to give the vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sudeep, sir. First of all, on behalf of Department of Mathematics, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, Adamas University, Kolkata, I would like to thank all the speakers, Professor Gabriela Panvel-Bidova, and then Yana Sujanova, and then Paulina Sujanova, all of you. You have explained nicely. First of all, I thank you. Gabriela, hello?
Can I just stop you because I did not have my presentation until now?
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay, sorry for that.
Oh, sorry for that.
This is the presentation about the national scholarship.
I think there is some confusion. Okay. So I stop.
Yeah, I was wondering also because Yana is left still now, and I'm
You
quite.
have whole family here. Professor Pavlindeva and me, we are sisters. And
okay,
is my daughter, so the whole family is here. And,
no, sorry about that. Okay,
Sorry for that. So it was a misunderstanding. So please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I will just go and I will tell you something about the possibility to go to use the national scholarship in Slovakia. I hope that you see it properly, that this is just one screen mobility in Slovakia.
Yes.
Okay. So I will summarize what my sister has told and my daughter. For the research of my sister, there is a huge opportunity to extend this research to the new smart cities concept that we are now trying to extend to put the IoT technologies and smart technologies to collect data, make simulation and predictions for the future, what can happen. And this we would like to apply for the historical buildings. So this is a huge opportunity, and also talking about the European Union concept or strategy. So this fits very well there. What my daughter told was were the projects or opportunities through the European Union, and I will tell you something about the Slovak Republic offered to foreign students and researchers to come and to make the research and the study stay in Slovakia. So I will again correct something. I'm no more the part of the Slovak University of Technology. I am working now at the University of St. Cyril and Methodius in Trnava as my daughter, and I am working at the Institute of Management. We are the new institute oriented on quality management, and you will see it. What I'm going to talk is the National Scholarship Program. It is the program that was established by our Ministry of Education in the year 2005. So 15 years of experience with the mobility, with the international mobility. This study program is open also for the students after bachelor studies. So master level of the studies for the PhD students and for the researchers or artists. So it is an open program for all the categories. As about the students who is eligible to participate, as I said, university students at universities outside of Slovakia, so any country, and you are welcome to come. Master students, and at least they have to study 2.5 years. It means that they are finishing their bachelor's and starting the master degree, so they can apply. But until the deadline of the application, they must have finished their bachelor studies. So this is the condition. The second thing is they must be accepted by our university, either public or private, for the academic mobility. So it means there must be acceptance letter and something more that should be there. So the duration of the stay is from 1 to 2 full semesters. It means they can apply for 1 semester. It's from 4 to 5 months, or to 2 semesters. It is from 9 to 10 months. It must not be as a whole. You can divide your study stay to 2 parts, 1 semester in 1 year and the second semester in the second year, or you can come for the whole duration, for this 10 months stay. So this is how you can extend this. The scholarship for the student is 400 euro per month. So it seems not too much, but the average salary in Slovakia is about 1,000 euro. So it is enough to have a good life in Slovakia for the students. Also, students that are coming from the long distances, for example, from India, they can apply for the travel allowance. So this travel cost will be reimbursed. It means it is 7,000 kilometers, so it is lump sum 1,000 euros. And for the study stays that are longer than 90 days, according to the legislation, you must go to the police to announce that you are in the Slovakia on the police, and you must go through the medical examination. So it means also those costs will be reimbursed for the students. For the PhD students, again, they must prove that they are PhD students. They must have acceptance from the private or state university or research institution. Mostly it is Slovak Academy of Science, and they must prepare the research project. I will say more about this later. The duration of the stay is again from 1 to 10 months. You can cut this stay to shorter periods, or you can stay from 1 to 10 months. It is on your decision. The scholarship is 734 euro per month. Again, there is a travel allowance and there is a reimbursement of the medical costs if you are staying longer. As for the university teachers, the must is the invitation from the Slovak institution that can give you this certification. So it means it must be a valid and eligible research and development institution. Mostly those are universities, either public or private, and Slovak Academy of Science. It can't be the business company. So only those are eligible. And you must prepare the research proposal or education or artistic project for this application. Again, the duration of the stay is from 1 to 10 months. It can be divided to shorter periods, and the scholarship for the PhD without the PhD with less than 4 years experience is 734 euro. With the PhD with less than 10 years work experience is 980. With the PhD and more than 10 years experience is 10,050. 1,050, sorry, it will be good to have such much. And the reimbursement of the medical costs, your travel cost will be not reimbursed. So as I said, 1,030 euro is the average salary in Slovakia, so it is relatively good salary for coming for a study stay. We are not allowed to pay for your family members or something like this. This is the individual fellowship of Marie Sklodowska-Curie for the European Union. If you want to come for a longer stay with your family and to build your career, if you want to come just for a shorter period to gain experience, to have connections within the country, within the European Union. So we are opening the door to you to the European Union through the Slovakia. So this is the opportunity that you can use. How many times you can apply for this scholarship? It means if you will come for more than 5 months in total, so you can apply just one, and the next application can be sent after 3 years. If you will come for a shorter period than 5 months, you can apply to the rest, to the 10 months. So you can divide it, but be careful not to come for longer than 5 months, if 10 to 10 months. How you can apply to this? So there are 2 calls. One is the autumn call, that is the deadline is usually 31st of October, and the spring call, that the deadline is on the 13th of April. This year, because of this coronavirus, it was postponed to 18th of May. The application is made through the online system, and the system is open the 6 weeks before the deadline. The language of the application is either Slovak or English, so for you it is the English. And there was the question from the audience about the documents, and my daughter said true, half truths. If you would like to apply for the study stay in Slovakia, for example, through this scholarship, you must send the original copy of your documents and the translation of their documents. It must not be the official translation. But if you would like to come as a student, you are going through the examination. Mostly it is the discussion about the PhD project that you would like to study in Slovakia, and you must have the official translation of the documents in the Slovak language. So this is the complication, but mostly we accept the translation in English language, and the student is enrolled for the testing period or short period. During this period, he must complete these papers. So he must have this official translation into the Slovak language that we have an institutions for this that are making these translations for the students. So this is a complication, but it can be dealt individually with the student, with the institution, but this is the thing. Through this scholarship, it is not necessary to have the official translation of the documents. And also, no. So for the students, the required documents are the curriculum vitae, so CV, motivation letter, detailed study program. So it means that they must know where they are going to study, which study program they are going to study, in which term, and what lectures they are going to take part. So detailed study program. 2 recommendation letters from the university teachers. Confirmation letter from the university that student is at the time of the application. So it means that your university will confirm that you are the student of this university. Copy of bachelor's diploma, or as I say, and admission or invitation letter for the host university. So this is for the students. for the master program. If you are a PhD student, again, you must have your CV, motivation letter, detailed study program, research or artistic program, a recommendation letter from the dissertation supervisor. So you are enrolled as a PhD student at your university and you are coming for a scholarship to Slovakia.